Hello, Michael Mandeville here with the How I Write series. And here we are today, confronting the blank page. So many times people are actually faced with this particular page and they just kind of lock up and freeze. And some of these expressions might seem familiar. In this case, sometimes what you could do is, of course, start off with something very simple. If you have the name of a character, or any name for that matter, an action, and an object. And for example, you might just start off with the notion of John steals the jewelry. In that case, what you do is you have a very simple start of your story. However, sometimes that's not going to even come to mind. One thing to do is to be able to use a sense of not your brain and stay in what my friend and I have called my brain cave, thinking too much, but actually getting in touch with your heart in a lot of ways. And by that I mean something philosophical and meaningful to you personally. This allows you to touch base right away with writing about something very deep and personal. And you could pick something very deep and personal. For example, if you have kids, you might say something to the effect of John, we'll keep it that name, was thinking about his children and how much they meant to him. Now we get a little bit of a twist here because you're adding some dimension to your character. And whatever your story is about, you want to add a conflict, right? But he was sad about how he treated them. So we've added a little bit of a twist. Again, this is something very personal to you, and it could start from anywhere. Let's go with something different. John was reflecting upon the end of his life, thinking that he had too many possessions, but possessed none of the important things in life. And his life was ending next week. That's a pretty good opener, right? How is it ending? Why is it ending? Is it voluntary or involuntary? Is he sick or has he double-crossed the Russian mob? So when you actually start to think philosophically, you can actually also take a deeper angle and just be able to say what matters to you and your values, your principles, your ethics, your religious beliefs, etc. Bring those to the forefront in your character. But then you put a little turn on it. How would my character think about these beliefs? So if John is, let's say, a Catholic, is a Catholic who deeply believed in the church and its teachings, but now had reason to question, so now we're putting a twist in there, some of these beliefs, and we could go to the headlines, because of the actions of a few bad apples. Obviously this alludes to some of the headlines in regards to the Catholic Church and perhaps their abuse over the years that's been documented. So there's something there that's personal. There's something that allows you to dive in philosophically and get into the character without having to deal with, let's say, the basic plot elements of subject, action, object, as we outlined, where John steals the jewelry. So try that particular angle and see if it jumpstarts your writing. When you're walking around, you think deeply about things. Latch onto a couple of those, see if you could put them onto the page and get some traction in your writing. All right, have a good writing day.